Hey guys, Rock and Roll back with some more Hero Colosseum, and this time we're going to do another analysing video. This time it's Free Tempest and his friend came up with some ideas for the 20-point challenges and costs for certain figures. So this time we're going to go over them one at a time. I haven't seen the list yet. I quickly opened the second document so I wouldn't see it. So basically we're going to be going in blind. So let's just close this down and see what we've got. Nope. Well, that's an early botch. Oh well. Right, so note these distinctions are made with the lack of O1 skills and go second team meta factors in mind. Okay, so it's taking no O1 skills, what I've said, and then saying, you know, based on the second, sort of going second, that's fine. Note 2, if you have any questions concerned with this list, I'm happy to discuss it. Okay, might do with that afterwards. My friend and I have discussed all figures and feel this list is fair. No bias was intended in the construction of this list. Any spelling mistakes are due to autocorrect. My friend and I hotly debate what to do with SR Final EX Android 21. Would like your thoughts. Alright, so let's look. So the first one is N Toa, who has been bumped up to 2 points. That I can understand. Toa is very good. Too good to be 1 point. And probably on par with some of the R figures in terms of her stats. Her ability is questionable. You could even argue putting her up to 3. Depending, I suppose. The trigger squares are very good as well, that's the thing. Being a back row in one of them makes her a very good figure, so 2 at least, maybe 3. So, okay, 4 points Ribrianne. If you're talking about UR Ribrianne, and you're giving me her for 4 points, I'll run both copies of her. You're putting her on a par with SR figures at that point. And I think she's A lot better than SRs, and B, she's better than some of the URs that are obviously more expensive than her, so I can't agree with Ribrianne at 4 points. 5 points maybe, because she's not a great figure, because they made her do, sort of, try and make her do everything she could possibly do, like buff team, buff herself, in attack and defense. It's just ridiculous, so I think 5 points would be fairer. I think putting her at 4 just makes her a bit too good. So let's say, I'd run, well, I can't run both copies by my own rules, but I would definitely run a copy of Ribrianne in pretty much every deck if I got her for 4 points, because she's got pretty decent stats for 4 points. So no, I'd have to bump her up to 5 at the very least. 5 points, we have, first of all, Majin Buu. Fair enough, Majin Buu is a good defensive wall, but apart from that, he doesn't really add much. His low HP really stops him from being a main pick. If his HP was buffed up, maybe there would be some potential there, because you could easily get a very high defense stat with him and make use of his passive, so I'd say 5 points is fair. Possibly if somebody was down to 4, maybe. Nah, not Boo. His stats are a bit too good. 5 points for Goku Black. Everybody knows my opinion on Goku Black based on the story mode challenge, but I think Goku Black is a bit too good for 5 points. He has a really good HP stat. His ability's not bad, it's just outclassed. Is 5 a bit too low? Possibly. He has 11,000 health, so I don't know, that's a hard call. I mean, like I say, I'm not his biggest fan, you guys know that, you've seen my videos on him. But that's more of it became him. He became a meme of the series, and it was the worst version of him. So, I don't know, maybe back up to 6? I have to look at what's further down the list. Android 16 at 5 points, yes, definitely. Android 16 really doesn't do much, and is very reliant on having other androids in there, 17 and 18, I think. So, definitely at 5 points. His stats aren't great. He's not the worst in terms of stats. His ability is very underwhelming though, so yeah, Android 16 at 5 points. Fuse Zamasu at 5, nah. Nah, I'm sorry, Fuse Zamasu is quite crap compared to the SR one in some ways, but his stats are really good, and his ability, while he doesn't heal the Master anymore, which makes, to be honest, Zamasu, the SR Zamasu should be 5 points, in my opinion. That's something that should have been put on the list as well. But I think Fuse is better than 5. I think he is a 6 pointer. He heals himself. He's got good stats, whether you use the attack and speed version or the more bulky version. So, nah, I think 6 would be fair. I suppose the problem is I'm looking at this in terms of him, because they've gone and focused more on the go second team meta factors, which you can't really apply as much in the 20-point challenge. You can to a degree, but not as much, I don't think. So, I suppose in that fact, yes, if we're talking about a go second sort of meta, then I suppose 5 points, but even so, if you go for the bulkier version, he can still be pretty slow for a turn or two. Especially if you put other slow figures in there. But, yeah, okay. I'll say that. Because you're focusing on a go second meta factor, I'll keep that in mind. Although, by that token, why the hell is Ribrianne down at 4 points if you're focusing on a go second meta? Because her defensive figure has ridiculous defense and she's slow. That's just my personal opinion. OG Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. The fact that you've put Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta as 5 points and Ribrianne at 4 is quite offensive, as is the next one. Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta is the worst figure in the game, because you cannot make use of his posing skill, because he goes down to 0 speed. So he gets one shot and 0 defense. He gets one shot by anything that sneezes on him. So you've got to run him in a quick deck, but to be quick enough, you've basically got to be running Future Gohan and Videl. But the problem is, again, yes, that might work against some people, but it only pushes his attack to just over, what? Just over 11,000? Which is no way good enough to make it worthwhile. He's bad. He is just terrible. Basically, the new Majub we got is what this Vegeta should have been. If this Vegeta had Majub's stats, or his abilities, sorry, Vegeta would be brilliant. But he's not. He's crap. He's useless. Nobody would ever use that Vegeta. He only had a brief usage back when he first came out, because he had a decent attack stat and people would put him in the back row behind their Piccolo or something like that. So, no. Can't agree. Can't agree on Vegeta. He's worthless. At 4 points, yes, because if you look at his stat line's probably reasonably on par with Gohan. The exception being his HP is higher. But Gohan buffs himself and his teammate in front, so I'd honestly say that Vegeta is a 4-pointer, as is Omega Shenron. Yes, his attack buffing is great, but one of his figures has too little health, and the other figure that does have good health has too little attack to make use of it. Plus, it debuffs the rest of the team on the board that turn. So, no. Sorry, Omega Shenron is just too bad. Maybe he would get dropped down to 4 as well. I'm sorry, I just can't see these two, and even Android 16 and Majin Buu, being better than Ribrianne. Goku Black, yeah, but I can't see the other ones being, especially in an up second deck, really. Because Vegeta could only possibly work in a speed deck. He can't work at all in an up second deck because he just dies. And Omega Shenron, not good. Ranger 17, nah. Here's the reasoning. Yes, the speedier version of Ranger 17, if we're focusing again on a up second meta, I can understand that. The other Ranger 17, his defense is and he's more focused on his speed and his attack. However, if you look at the other Ranger 17, who has an immense defensive stat and is slow as fuck, would be a monster in this challenge, and is, to be honest, something I'm really considering using in the future. I'm going to grind a load of TP medals and do some summoning on the lower figures for 15 points, or 15 medals for 5, because I need to get some lower level figures. So look forward to that in the future. But no, Ranger 17 I really like. I think he could be really good. He buffs his defense of everybody on the field by 350 as well. That's not something to underestimate. And when you put him alone on the field, you only take 50% damage on your master, so I think 5 points may be a bit harsh if we're going for up second. I think both versions would be 6 points, even if you just said it was either the speed or up second meta. So, new UI Goku, Again, looking at it from the going second meta, yes, because neither figure is particularly slow and they buff their speed. I was very harsh on this UI Goku when he came out, the newer version. He's better than I thought. I still don't think he's great, but he's a lot better than I thought. So, I think I would leave him at 5. Just because, like I say, he's better than I thought, but he's not as bad as I was saying. New Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Gogeta. Yeah, I can see the 5 points thing. The speedy version is just far too quick for that meta, and the slow version doesn't really have the attack to make it worthwhile. Thing is, once you get below 50% HP on your master and you throw him on the field, he's ignoring defense. So his attack suddenly becomes, in a way, a lot better because he's ignoring defense. So I'd probably leave him at 5 if we're going to go, again, on this going second meta. If it was just a general meta, I would probably put him at 6 just because the speed version is really good. Final EX limit broken 21 tanky version. Yeah, 5 points seems fair for an SR that's sort of EX broken. Android 21 is very good. The SR is incredibly good and very, very, very underrated. So, as you saw in the SR challenge, she did very well. So, on to 6 points. Spirit of a Super Saiyan Goku. You really think he's that much better? That's the Goku that gives you 250 attack, right? He buffs himself by 500, does he? And gives 250 attack to everybody else on the board that for repeatable. You really think he's that much better than some of these? I don't. I mean, he's decent. He's got a very good defense. Oh, he's got a very good HP stat on one of them, and his attack is okay on that. His speed is on the dodgy side, really, for an up second meta. He's over 2,500, and the only over 2,500 figure I usually advise for an up second deck would be Vados. So, I think there's too much against him going for 6 points. I think 5 points is fairer for him. Just because, yes, I know he's a good team buffer, decent health stat. Speed is a bit too good, and I don't honestly think he's much better than... I wouldn't say he's better than Fusamasu. I wouldn't say he's better than Ranger 17. But he could work if you run enough slower figures, so I think 5 would be fair for him. Spirit Bomb Goku. I've never liked the Spirit Bomb Goku figure. All he does, really, is give you that ultimate gauge rise. Well, if I'm looking for something to boost my ultimate gauge, I'd just run SR Gohan. He'd be 2 points cheaper in this system. 5 points. And that's only barely. Decent health, decent defense, but a 500 attack boost and 15% boost to your ultimate gauge, which isn't really a priority in these 20-point battles because there's no O1 skills, so the ultimate gauge doesn't really matter. And if you're going second, you're probably not going to get your ultimate attack anyway because your opponent will just double up on the lane and kill your ultimate user. So, nah, 5 points. OG Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Goku. That's a figure I feel is very underrated, and I will agree with it being 6 points. He's very bulky. He is very bulky for when he was released. Buffs his attack, debuffs his opponents, and is very good protection for some very powerful figures. You can stick things like the blue Vegeta with 9k attack. You can stick him behind him. So, yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think OG Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Goku is incredibly good and worthy of 6 points. Big Bang Vegeta, yeah, definitely. Big Bang Vegeta hits incredibly hard. Especially if you throw an up second skills on him. He would be an incredibly hard hitter. So, yeah, I'll definitely agree with Big Bang Vegeta. OG Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegeta. Yes, just. The biggest power of that Vegeta was that you could throw him down 0-1 skills and for the longest time near enough one-shot your opponent, so Yeah, but I mean, we're not using O1 skills, but you can still hit pretty hard, and the HP 1 version, while it's crap on attack, is really good as a wall for something behind it, so I'll probably stick with 6 points on that, just because he can directly attack the Master, and that's got to be worth 6 points on its own. 6 points for First Form Frieza? Really, guys? 6 points for First Form Frieza? He'd be in the top 10 worst UR figures in the game, I think. I'm sorry, I can't agree with that. He was good when they came out, but now? No, I can't see it. He's not good. 5 points, at best. He's worse than Ribrian, so he's 4 points, I think. Golden Frieza. Situationally, yes. If you can somehow get your ultimate gauge, then you can throw Frieza down on its own for the turn. Yes, you don't have O1 skills, but he is invincible if he's on the field on his own, on a trigger square, and he does trigger on the ultimate gauge, so the ultimate position. So yes, 6 points for Golden Frieza, simply for that reason, just because the possibility of using that is very powerful. The only problem is that you're then relying on the rest of your team to hold out whilst you wait for that ultimate gauge, because, I mean, you could throw Frieza down behind something else, but he'll die pretty quick if he gets hit, so 6 points is right. Kid Buu, yeah. Kid Buu's very good, hits very hard, can hit both things in the lane. In a way, you could say the SR Buu could actually be bumped up to a 5-pointer as well, just because he heals, so that's really helpful. Also, other mentions for 5 points should be Ultimate Gohan, because he is definitely a lot better than a lot of the SRs, so I'd definitely put him as a 5-pointer. God of Destruction Beerus, yeah, 6 points, that's fair. Beerus still hits incredibly hard, and he ignores defense, so he can wipe out things pretty damn easily, so yeah, definitely 6 points. Intimidation Boku. I know you mean Goku, it's obviously just, for some reason autocorrect's done that. Intimidation Goku, It's a very hard call. Intimidation Goku is very good, but you've got to have your master below 50%. And it's always very hard to justify, certainly in this scenario, making them high points when they've got such a heavy restriction. Because if you don't, he gets a small buff if you're not below 50%, but when you get below 50%, he is really good, especially if you have two of them. You can't have it in this challenge, but if you have two of them, they get really good. So I'll give him that, because it's very easy to get yourself below 50% HP. Even in this challenge, it would be pretty easy too. So yeah, I'll keep Intimidation Goku there. OG Teen Gohan. OG Teen Gohan. Whew. He can hit incredibly hard. 6 points, down from 7. I don't know, man. With up second skills after a couple turns with the right skills on him, he's hitting for massive damage. And there's plenty of stuff you could put in front of him to give him those couple of turns. So you could argue putting him up for 7. Plus, he's another one that triggers on the ultimate position, so I think I'd put him up to 7. Based on the stuff around him, I think he is better than ones like Goku here. He's better than Big Bang Vegeta and this Goku, so I think I would put Gohan up to 7, but only just. Future Trunks, yeah, I can see that. Future Trunks is a very fast figure, and I'm keeping it in mind that this is based on an up second meta, where you're relying on going second. Which, against the AI, is fine, but if you're playing against people, obviously wouldn't be. And Future Trunks is very fast, too fast to make it work, I suppose. You would have to put him down on the field on his own with up second skills on, which would be actually really effective in this challenge, just because he reduces damage taken by 30%. And his slower figure has actually got some decent stats, so 6 points, I might actually try running that. This is giving me some ideas for teams I could run. Perfect Cell, 6 points. Yeah, you see, I don't think you can give him 6 points. Because really, he's not that much different from this Gogeta. If you look at him, sort of who's sitting at 5 points. His fast figure is very fast, but you don't want speed. The other one hits hard, but again is very fast. Again, if Zamasu is 5, let's make a comparison there as someone with speed and a speed boost. If Zamasu is 5, I don't see how Cell can be 6. Because you've got to compare them to like-for-like figures in that essence. So, if Zamasu is 5, Cell is 5. So if I move Zamasu up to 6, I'd have to keep Cell at 6. So that's what I reckon. I think Cell, to be honest, I think Cell would be a 5 for me. Whereas Zamasu would be a 6. Cell just doesn't do quite as much. Yes, he does get a nice attack increase if he goes below 50% HP, but on Cell it's a lot harder to get to that threshold just because of his health. Android 17 and 18. We'll put them both together because they both rely on each other for their posing skill. And that's a big reason why 6 points might be a little too much for them. Let me explain. To get the best out of both figures, you need the other sibling. So, in this 20-point challenge, you've got to have them both. So, if they're both sitting at 6 points, you spent 12 points. You've got 8 points left on 3 figures. And you spent your 12 points on 2 figures that are okay. I don't think you can honestly say they're better than that. Yes, their abilities are good, especially Android 17. I'm a big fan of his attack debuff. So, 6 points. It's hard. I think you'd have to make certain exceptions for figures where you say, right, it's for them, say, 11 points for the 2. Because I just think they rely on each other a bit too much to put them both at 6 apiece. Next we have Hit Awoken. Hit is very good. Hit is very underrated. 6 points, I would leave him at 6 points. He hits incredibly hard, and he does remove your opponent's defense for the turn, so if you put something slower than him behind him, or if you do what I like to do, which is to run him with the up second skill that gives him 3000 speed if you go second, because then he hits first, and then whatever's behind him will hit after that, which is really good counter if your opponent is running Piccolo. Because if you imagine sticking a Gohan behind him, so Piccolo gives their Master 5000 defense, they're like, oh, he's not going to take any damage this turn, and then Hit just says, yeah, about that, bam, there's your defense gone, and then Ultimate Gohan just comes in and fucking yeets him out of the goddamn stadium. Then I think Hit is very good. Very good. 6 points, yeah. God of Destruction Champer's 6 points. Up second Dex. I mean, he gives a 30% buff. Or the opponent takes 30% more damage, I think the wording is, isn't it? 30% is pretty impressive. And I think I think I would have to put him up to 7. And I prefer the HP version of him as well. So he is going to stick around for a while. So I think reckon that 30% buff probably makes him a bit too good for 6 points. Just because, again, it's basing it on the other things on this list as well. And you're just like, well, if we're going to keep something like, say, Future Trunks at 6, Champer's got to be better. So he's a 7 for me. Rose Goku Black. Yeah, 6 points is fair. Rose Goku Black can get very powerful with his passive. The more he's getting hit, the more powerful he's getting, especially on the HP version. And late game, if you can get him hit 4 or 5 times, he's suddenly become an 0-1 skill user without using 0-1 skills, basically. So yeah, 6 points. I'll definitely say that's fair. New Teen Gohan. Never been a fan of him. Plus, he is reliant on having a Goku with him. Sort of a Super Saiyan Goku. It's got to be a Super Saiyan Goku as well. If it was just a Goku, I think 6 points would be fair for this Gohan. Because it's very easy to just run a a Goku figure. But it has to be a Super Saiyan Goku, so it has to be, say, Spirit of the Super Saiyan Goku, or Intimidation Goku. So because you're having to rely on another figure, it's another one where I think if you got him and a Goku for 11, it would be fair, maybe? But I don't think alone you can really say he's 6, just because I think this Gohan is a lot better than this one. Just personally, I think... Yes, he does have a good HP stat on one of them, but the attack is too low, and on the one that has decent attack, his other numbers are a bit weird. His speed is a bit on the high side for my liking. OG Broly. Well, the speed version is out immediately, because that one's not too good. I do like the HP version of Broly that's slower, to be fair, because he hits bloody hard after turn 3. So, 6 points, we'll leave him at 6 points. I think that's a fair point score for him. I think he's sorely underrated. I think you can put that partially down to people expecting a bit too much from him. He's, I think because people had high expectations for Broly and he didn't quite hit them, which is why he's a bit underrated. So, yeah, we'll definitely go with sticking with 6 points for Broly. The 30% damage dealt, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Goku. Yeah, 6 points is fair. Good attack stat, or a good HP stat, depending upon which one you use. Buffs his allies that are next to him. So, yeah, very, very good figure. And definitely worthy of 6 points, not 7. Just because I know that the blue Vegeta is going to be 7, and that Vegeta is slightly better. Extreme Saiyan Power, Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I assume that's the second Goku that was released. In which case, yes, I agree. He is nowhere near as good as the Super Saiyan 4 Goku we got in the sort of the OG one, but he is very good. Can buff his defense quite well, decent attack stat, and can hit relatively hard because of it. So yeah, definitely say he's worthy of that. Same for the Vegeta. I'm a big fan of that Vegeta. Boosts allies sort of damage output. Good attack stat, and a pretty decent HP stat as well when you throw his own defense buffing ability on top of, say, an up second defensive buff. So, yeah. 6 points. Santa Fidel and Santa 18. Their abilities are very good, but none of the figures are that great. One of the Android 18s, the Santa 18s, is very good. But that's it. I think 5 points is fairer for them because you lock them in place for one turn. Now, yes, that sounds good on paper, but that is reliant on a few things. One, it's reliant on you not killing too many of their figures. And two, it's reliant on them not having a deck where leaving their figures in the same place is no problem for them. So, they're both 5 points for me. The Santa Videls are both bad figures. One of them's just... it's got like 4k speed and attack. The attack version is okay, it's got good defense, and it does buff your team's defense for a turn, so I can kind of see the logic behind that, but... oh no, sorry, it doesn't lock your opponent in place, does it? It's been a while since I used Santa figures. They lock yourself in place. No, they're definitely 5 points then. Their buffs are good, but locking yourself in place is definitely too big of a cost, I think, for 6 points. Find the Explosion Evo Vegeta. Yeah, 6 points. I'm not the biggest fan of that figure. If you've seen enough of my videos, you'll know that. His stats are very weird, I think, for what he does. And I'm just not a huge fan of him, but I'd say he is definitely worthy of 6 points just because he has got decent stats and decent abilities. But I'm not the biggest fan of him. Final EX Limit Broken Android 21 Speed Attack. She's good, but I don't know if I can justify making an SR figure 6 points. I know she has got very good stats though, so... it's a hard call. Thing is, I'm a big fan of the tanky version of these figures. And this is, sorry for that, I just brought the taskbar up by mistake. Surely this is actually contradicting your own rules. Because... you've said at the start of this, if we go back up, that we're ignoring 01 skills, and go second team meta in mind. These distinctions are made with the lack of O1 skills and go second team meta factors in mind. This figure surely violates both of those, because it's quick, and so by that fact it won't be as good, because up second skills are the ones we're prioritising and O1 skills are not existent, so I think she's 5 as well. I might be misreading that, to be fair, so if that is true, that's on me. Android 21, 6 points yet. She's very situational. She can be very good, but she's reliant on hitting somebody that buffs themselves. So because of that, I can't honestly see her being 7 points, just because she is situational. The newest Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Oh, right. I keep forgetting that Goku and Vegeta are actual figures, because they obviously EX break into the new Gogetas. Yeah, both the Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta are very good. Especially because they obviously, like I said, the EX limit break. So for 6 points, yeah, I'd say them both. Especially the attack version of the Vegeta, which I unfortunately do not have, but I have seen his attack. It is immense. And combine that with his posing skill, he's pretty nasty. Better than the Goku, I think. The new Omega Shenron. Controversial, but I think 7 points might be a bit fair. The amount of damage that this Omega Shenron can output is pretty insane. He has a fantastic attack stat. His attack gets boosted by his posing skill as well, let's bear in mind. He can put out huge numbers. So, because Blue Vegeta is going to be 7, I think Omega's got to be 7 as well, because I don't see, if you put Omega at 6 and Vegeta at 7, I would rather save the point and have the Omega. I don't think there's a big enough difference between Vegeta and Omega Shenron to really put Omega a point lower. I think they've got to be 7 points. I think they've both got to be the same, personally. Alright, so we're on to the 7 points figures. I wonder if there's 8 point figures as well. That'd be interesting. First 7 point figure, Piccolo. Without a doubt. Piccolo, I mean, at this point, I'll probably be agreeing with most of them. Only a few of them will probably get lowered. Piccolo, definite 7 points. Probably the most broken figure from the original set, and to this date, and forever onwards, will always be in the meta, just because it boosts your master's defense by 5,000, making it very hard to hurt your master. So, yeah, definitely Whis was immense back in the day. He still is now, a bit overshadowed by Vados, but Whis is still very good, so definite 7 points, because if you bumped him down at all, then nobody would use Vados. Future Gohan. By the rules you've set out, if I'm reading that right, if I'm not, then say so afterwards, because I'll have to just retract it and redo this entire video. If we're going by the meta idea that we're prioritising up second skills with no O1 skills, Future Gohan kinda sucks. The fast figure's useless, and the slower figure is still pretty high on the speed, and because he's nearly 3,000 speed, I think, and he buffs his own speed when your opponent knocks out figures, so his attack is good, and his HP is pretty good, but he's not 7 points. If those are the rules, he's 6 points. If I'm misreading the rules, then he's 7 points. We'll put it that way. Bikini 18, 7 points definitely. She locks your opponent's figures in place. So, to be honest, she could honestly get into the 8 point club. She's that good. She really is just that good. I would definitely say Bikini 18 is one of the 8 point club, in all honesty. I'm not going to push any to 8 points, because that would be a bit ridiculous. But yeah, she's definitely that good. And she's probably caused me more losses than any other figure. So, Bikini 18, definitely. Vados, same as Whis, great at making your opponent just do next to no damage to you, so definitely she's on a par with Whis, so probably she might be a little bit better. There is a little bit more to be said about lowering your opponent's attack by 30% than reducing the amount of damage you take by 30%. There is a minor difference, I think. So, but yeah, they're both 7 points. Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegito. I don't honestly know. If you get him below 50% HP, then yes, but if you don't, then he's not really much better than Kid Buu. Because he hits both things in the lane, but he can sit in the back row. I hadn't thought about that, whereas Kid Buu is stuck in the front. Vegito is better than Kid Buu, and Kid Buu is 6, so yeah. Vegito's got to stay at 7. If Kid Buu wasn't around, possibly would drop him down to 6. Just because to get the full opposing skill, he has to be below 50% HP, which he won't get in the back, but if he's in the back, he's protected and can hit both things in the lane in front of him. So, yeah. Vegito is 7. Super Saiyan God Goku, yeah, without a doubt, God Goku's got to be 7 points. His attack is ridiculous. He buffs himself every turn. He buffs his allies as well. He's ridiculous and definitely worthy of 7 points. OG Super Saiyan 4 Goku, another one that would possibly get into the 8-point club for me. Great at defense, great at attack after a few turns. He can put some big numbers out in terms of ultimate attack damage, especially when you consider he only has... What is his max attack? It's just over 6,000, I think, is the maximum, and that's if you dupe him up. So, yeah, definitely easy 7 points, possibly 8-point club. Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. I've never been much of a fan of Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, to be honest. He does good damage, or he tanks okay on the other one. His speed stat is weird as well. On both versions, really. I don't know if I could give him 7 personally. I think he would have to be a 6-pointer for me. I just don't think when you look at the other things around him that you can really say he's that much better. I mean, to be honest, Gotenks, he buffs his defense, but as soon as he goes below 50% HP, he's the opposite of Vegito. He gets worse. He doesn't get as higher buffs for the turn. He doesn't support the team. No, he's a 6-pointer for me. I'd honestly rather be running something like this Vegeta. He supports the team, he buffs his defense as well, just like Gotenks does. He won't put as much damage out, but I think he's better in terms of team comp. Gotenks just doesn't do enough for the team, I don't think, to be 7 points, so he's a 6-pointer for me. Super Saiyan Gogeta. I don't know. I don't know if he can be 7 points. I really don't know. I'm just saying this because you've got to look at what's around him in terms of defense. And the nearest thing you've got to compare him to is OG Super Saiyan 4 Goku. And Goku is so much better than Gogeta. Gogeta is very good, don't get me wrong. And he can reduce damage by quite a bit when you consider sort of all of his opposing skills, and he can put out decent damage as well if you end up going first that turn. His attack stat is just a bit too low, I think, because he doesn't he just doesn't do enough, and his stats are a bit wonky again because they're over 2k, and I just think if you took a few hundred off of his speed, the other one might just be under 2k actually. Don't quote me on that. I'm not looking at the stats live. It's just going off the top of my head. I think Gogeta is a borderline. I wouldn't like to call it either way. I think if you build the team around him, he's 7 points. We'll say that. If you build the team focusing on Gogeta's strengths, he's 7 points. But just. Super Saiyan Vegito, without a doubt, possibly an 8 club member because he's that good. Buffs his attack, his speed, his defense, the 10% damage buff. He has great trigger squares. He's just fantastic. And it doesn't matter if you use the attack version or the speed version, in all honesty. If you use the speed version, you just stick him in the back line so he doesn't get smacked up. If you use the defense version, he's slow enough to go second. There's no downside to the Vegetos. They're that good. They will probably always be a meta choice just because they are that good. So definitely 7 points. The original Bardock. Yep, Yeah, I will say that his defense is very good and his buffing is incredible as well. The only problem is I tend to find he works best when you double him up, when you have double Bardock. On his own, I don't know, he might struggle a little bit in comparison, but he has such good health and his attack stat is decent enough to carry him. So yeah, definitely 7 points. Focus Flash Vegeta. I assume this is the blue Vegeta that has over 9k attack, in which case, yes, he is 7 points, but like I said, if he's 7 points, Omega's 7 points. He's possibly an 8-point club member, and maybe Shenron would say it a 7-pointer in that case, though. Just because there would have to be a reasonable jump in the points for it to become an 8-pointer from 7, and I think Vegeta just has that much of an advantage, just a little bit of an advantage over Omega. And that would be enough to just pump him into the 8-point club. Simply because having his higher attack stat means that being off of his posing square isn't as bad. The only problem is he doesn't pose in the middle, whereas Omega does. But I think this Focus Flash Vegeta is just slightly better than Omega. But I still think Omega should be a 7-pointer though. Videl, definite contender for 8-pointer. She lowers speed and defense by 30%. Which is great because she has a slow figure as well. She has an incredibly slow figure. So you can run her in a slow deck. She's perfect. She's too good. She broke the game. Her and Vados broke the game. And then Toa just took the shattered remnants of the game as it was and just threw them into a complete grinder until it was just dust. That was all that's left of the game's meta now. UI Goku, yeah. Massive attack stat, or the other one has a decent HP stat, so they're both good, both fantastic, so both 7-pointers, both possibly 8-pointers as well. Jiren, yeah, 7-pointer. Actually, let's think about this. Jiren is 7-pointer. Yeah, to be fair, I wasn't thinking about the 9k attack one to begin with. Yes, he is a 7-pointer just because he can pose in the back square, has a great attack stat, and has a pretty good passive as well. Even if you're running the speed one without O1 skills, if you're focusing on an up second meta, he could probably go first anyway. So, yeah, Jiren is 7 points. OG Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Yeah, good attack stat, good HP stat. Decent trigger squares, one of which being the center one, which means he gets ultimates. So, yeah, definitely a 7-pointer. Toa. I mean, Toa could be a 10-pointer in all honesty. It's like I said, she's just ruined the game in all honesty. That's why I don't play online because of Toa, basically. If you remove Toa, Videl, Vados, Bikini 18, and one other figure, I don't know, I would probably go back online. But every deck runs Toa on Vados or Videl or 18. It's just boring. So, yeah, definitely Toa is a 7-pointer. Bardock, yeah, 7-pointer. Great attack, great HP, supports himself, debuffs the enemy. Just fantastic. No other word for it, he's fantastic. Kefla, 7 points. Yeah, good attack. Can be reasonably bulky after a few turns as well of going second, so yeah, definite 7-pointer. OG, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Gogeta. He can put out pretty good numbers. It's hard to say. I mean, is he that much better than this Goku, the Super Saiyan God Goku here? Is he that much better than him? I don't know. I suppose his posing skill is better. Just enough to compensate, maybe. His speed is high. That's the problem. He has got about 2600 speed, I think, in the sort of higher attack version figure, so hard call. I'll leave him at 7, but it's a just 7. As in, if something better comes along, he will get knocked down to 6. Full power Super Saiyan Broly, definite 7-pointer, possibly 8. Massive attack stat, activates in the back line and can hit all of your opponent's figures in the front row. He's just that good. Evo Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegeta, definite 8-pointer. If we were doing that, like I say, I'm not doing 8-pointers, it's just so you know that they are next level. he's just that good. Even if you only put him down on his own, without the O1 skills, he's still going to have a pretty good chance of living and wiping something out. His attack is immense. And even if you don't, he still has a 9k attack stat. So definitely a 7-pointer. Survives at 1 HP Marjube. Possible 8-pointer. Just because the fact that he can go to over 11,000 HP very easily. Well, not 11,000 HP, 11,000 attack very easily makes him a very, very strong option. So, 7-pointer, possible 8. Attacked allies Marjube. Stop calling him Marjube. They should just call him Oob. He should be Oob. He shouldn't be Marjube. That's just my personal opinion on that. But yeah. Definite 7-pointer, possibly 8, because he can get very, very, very good if your allies get hit enough. So, yep, definite 7-pointer. End of Z Goku. 8-pointer all the damn way. The fact that he stacks up his defensive buff, sort of the cumulative effect of it, whilst he's on the bench, makes him worth that as it is, because you can bring him on turn 3 and boom, all of your figures have got like 700 defense boost. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. Like, they broke him. They seriously broke him. He's just too good. Both the new Super Saiyan 4 Gogetas, both are very good. Both are 7-pointers. I don't think they make it 8 quite. I think their posing skills are a bit awkward, in the fact that because of when the buffs happen, so it's every other turn you get, on one you get attack, and then speed, and then the other one it's defense, and then speed. They're a bit awkward. They're a bit janky, I think, so they're 7 points. If they were a bit more consistent, they'd be 8, but they're 7. And that's the end of the list right there. So, I did agree with quite a few of these. There was some that I didn't. Obviously, like I said, I gave my reasonings based on, as we went through, what on that they said, assuming that's what they meant. Because, like I say, I banned O1 skills from the challenge, and this reads to me as if it's saying that Go Second Team is what they're doing it by. So, I did disagree with some. There's some on the list that really should be written down, I think. I think you could argue Slug being put up to 3 points just because he has Vidal's effect, basically. Just a little lower version of it. Ones like SR Gohan should definitely be 5 points. You could argue that Extreme Battle Goku could be 5 points as well, just because he basically stops your opponent getting an ultimate. But, yeah. It's a good list. I was glad to actually go through it. It's nice to see the ideas that other people have. If you've got ideas you'd like me to analyse, guys, send them to me. I'll put my email address on the screen right now. If you're wondering why it's that, that's what the original name of the channel was going to be, back when I was going to focus on Pokemon. And basically that's been my email address ever since. I'll probably get a new one for it eventually, but for now, that's the email. Send me your idea there. Send it ideally in a Word document so I can download it and then do it like this. It's just a bit easier for me. But if you've got ideas for what you'd do the figure points as, for any figures you'd add, just feel free to send them and I'll happily do them. You'll get full credit for them. This was Free Tempest, and mega shout out to him because obviously, as I always say, he does support me on Patreon. So full credit to him, massive shout out to Free Tempest. Have a lot of respect for the guy, especially when we talk about Hero Colosseum stuff. He does know what he's talking about, as does his friend. And it's just like all things. People are going to disagree on things. I do disagree on some of these, and some of them I agree 100%. So, but yeah. Thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. Say below whether you agree with some of my things, whether you disagree with my things, or you agree with Free Tempest list completely. Whatever. Just leave your comments. I'll be happy to read through them and answer them all as I always do. But thank you all once again for watching, and I'll see you next time.